All right, chat, welcome. It is finally time for the Console Gaming League 2022 Spring Series. I'm Berkeley, joined by my good buddy Cam for this one, and it is going to be a best of 6 maps, 3 on World's Edge, 3 on Stormpoint. Diverse meta between the 2 maps, but we have a lot to talk about. This one is, of course, sponsored by Padia, as was our April Major. Love them for getting a little bit of a prize pool into this one. Our last major was $300. Nearly this one is for $1,000. Some team is looking to take home the lion's share of that, which is pretty significant. Mother's Day, of course, being tomorrow. Get your mom something nice. Everyone wants to be hunting for this prize pool because, flowers and chocolates, those don't pay for themselves. But
gotta
Neely,
get your mom something.
How are you feeling tonight, man? I know we had some tech issues with you, but now that we're collected, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. This camera just got it working, but I'm excited for this because this is going to be a step up in what we've been casting recently. This got a lot of good teams, some returning teams that we've seen. We were talking about some of the teams we've seen before. I don't care what the standings were, 1, 2 to 19. I was looking at LVG, Gaboober Luber, and Backburner. Those are my 3 teams, Yelk. And Backburner, I think, was 19. I don't even know if that's how it was ranked, but we've seen them play maybe a year ago at this point. Great team. I even think they played Bang back then. I doubt they'll still do that. Who really knows? But I'm excited to see what they can do because they were an exciting team about a year ago for me.
Yeah, they did play a lot of Bangalore. Kenji God, a console gaming league legend in the Apex scene. He's played in 4 different majors. That's a good top 3. Mine are a little different. Like you were saying, probably the most competitive one we've had. I've got ANC outplayed number 1. They're the number 2 seed right now in the losers bracket of the EMEA last chance qualifiers for Pro League. And then, you can see him right here. This might be the God Squad tonight. Andy Jax, Shex, and William KH. They are going to be nuts tonight. This is probably the best squad just on paper, but there are so many more in this one. My number 2 team is actually from our April Major. They were some Killmongers. It's Onyx Ravens. They just didn't get the placement points to find themselves on the podium, but they were 3rd in KP next time around. And then my number 3 also is going to be Backburner, but I've got some honorable mentions, of course, literally vibing a God Squad in this console gaming league Apex scene. They're actually running a totally different squad this time around. They've actually built up the roster, so I'm excited for them. ATF is another one. Luffy's squad I've also got kind of in the mix, and Gaboober Luber, got to keep an eye on them. We actually, Neely, we're lucky. I asked L4, I kind of held him hostage and made him give me his podium. Just if he had to pick a top 3, he was going with AVP, literally vibing, and then ANC outplayed. But he, of course, said, got to keep your eye everywhere. Backburner, Onyx Ravens, ATF. There's so many teams that are going to be in the hunt tonight. Chat, these are going to be our full 20 here. You can see right at the bottom right there, ANC outplayed and Backburner, the 2 invited by CGL. But even the teams that weren't invited, this is just stacked, top to bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, Rollers in here too, Yelk. Believe they did pretty well in the last run. Maybe it's the slightly different Rollers roster than we saw that actually, I think, won in the last tournament. It's hard to remember.
No, this was that Rollers. Mercenary was a kill leader in a couple of those lobbies. Very good Valk player. I just want to kind of speed things up here because I'm sure our teams are ready to get into the action. The way this one is going to work, chat, as always, very similar to the ALGS. Placement points, very important to talk about. First place gets you 12. Second place gets you 9. Third nets you 7, 4th gets you 5 points, and so on and so forth. Of course, 1 kill point adds 1 point to your, total score at the end of the map. And what I would say is a big score, probably the biggest teams could reliably hope for. And this is important the later we get to see whose hopes are still alive. I would say a giant score that is achievable by all these teams is 25. So when we get to map 5 or 6, if you're not within 25 of the podium, you might be out of the hunt. But at any time, any of these teams can drop that big number.
Yeah, it's all about that big number. And you got to place top 5 consistently, I think, to find podium. We've casted enough of these to know that if you can't consistently kind of poke around that top 5 spot, you're going to have a tough time.
Yeah, you are. And we've had some teams that are very good at getting in that top 5, like Sola Quebec. They're in this major as well, and they are infamous for being so consistent with their placement points, but just struggling to find kills throughout the entire best of 6 set. You got to be aggressive throughout the entire time, and you got to have that high-risk strategy that actually pays off for you, and it's not always easy. But Neely, let's talk a little bit about the meta here on World's Edge. Valk, Caustic, Gib. Why is that so effective? Why are so many teams running that?
Well, it's not even that they're necessarily going to run all three of those every time. We're probably only going to see a couple of rosters that maybe stick to that meta. But those three characters are the big three characters, especially on World's Edge. I mean, if you've seen any of the ranked season we just played, Caustic was very good on KC. I know this isn't going to be KC, it's World's Edge, but Caustic, very good character. Gibby, just necessary at this point. Valk, I would say, has kind of gotten herself into that Gibby stance where it's like, you don't have a Valk, you just don't have that easy rotation. Valk has taken this game and simplified the whole rotation game entirely. So without at least those two, you're going to be, making everything a lot harder for yourself. And I'd say you can kind of sub that Caustic for a Bloodhound always, of course.
Yeah, Valkyrie, one of those legends coming in that just has that ultimate, that redeploy, that, of course, the passive, it gets you a scan, so anytime you're coming down, you get a little bit more intel. And she's also a recon hero. She can scan those beacons as well, get you intel further along in the game. And that redeploy just gets you out of bad positioning. It kind of takes some punishment out of the game the way Octane Jump Pad used to. Now Valk comes in, and you can be so out in the open. And as long as you just have a sliver of cover, you can just fly your way across the map. And with that passive, you can just hone in on somewhere safe, but it's not always safe. In these high-ranked lobbies, you're going to be shot at the entire time you're in the air, so you better come down with some cover around you.
You have to have Gibby Bubble to get it off. Unless, the scenario is perfect, every team is going to be trying to hold that Gibby Bubble, so if they need to just say, nope, not our fight, rotate, get in front of this team, and now we have the better position. But as you said, not every drop is safe, especially when the circle starts to get not even, Circle 1 is closed, Circle 2 is kind of getting in there. A lot of these tight buildings in the center of Circle, like Solo Quebec, we saw them play, I think it was Wraith, Crypto, and I forget the third character they played, but they would basically just scan and then find the center of the circle as soon as possible, get in the building, and park there. So it's not like you're just going to Valk, fly there and get in there rent-free. You might just run into some random teams, but either way.
Yeah, they were playing that Wraith, Crypto, and Caustic was their third one, and they would just get into a building through a Wraith portal and hold it down. But we've actually got our format ready to pull up for you here, chat, so let's take a look at how this one is going to work. So, of course, you gain CGL points, the top 5 at Tier 0 events and the weekly scrims will actually get you into these tournaments here. There's a couple invited teams, like we said, we've got 2. But as we get toward that $1,000 prize pool, it's going to be important to keep an eye on the top 10 teams based on those CGL points. And the lower side of this bracket graphic we've got going on, we're going to have 8 teams from the qualifiers coming through. And of course, like we said, those 2 invited teams, and that is ANC Outplayed and Backburner. So that's how we got here. That's how we got these teams competing for the lion's share of that $1,000 prize pool in this event sponsored by Padia. And it looks like we are ready to jump into World's Edge. The teams are finally here, and I'm very interested to see where teams choose to drop first, because there has been 2 weeks of scrims leading up to this event. A lot of these teams through those scrims have kind of learned each other's opening strategies out of the book, and I'm kind of looking forward to seeing which teams are going to be dropping center and choose to rotate easily to the zones, and which teams are going to favor one side or the other of World's Edge.
Yeah, usually I'd say most teams have 1 to 2 drops maximum that they really even bargain for. But most of these teams are going to kind of have their location that they drop to, and they might do it all game unless someone gets behind and wants to challenge somebody early. Burke, since we got a little time here and we already talked about who we like, the meta, do you know anything about this Padia Gaming that's sponsoring us today?
Yeah, it's a platform to organize gaming events, get into tournaments if you're not an organizer yourself, and it is female owned and operated. They love it. They're getting it off the ground. You can actually go to padiagaming.com right now to give it a check out yourselves and see if you can get involved at a tournament at any level. It's not just, $1,000 prize pool stuff. They have stuff on there for no prize pool. If you're just trying to get into a game as an esport, padiagaming.com, that is a great place to start.
I definitely wish it was something we had back in the day, Yelk, when we were trying to, not necessarily get competitive with this game, but just different games when we were younger and we were trying to get out there. So it's definitely
back in the day, it was like game battles, but now it's just there's so many resources at your fingertips if you're looking to get into any game title as an esport. It's not just like trying to find Call of Duty games on game battles. There is really an esport out there for pretty much every title.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think every time we do this, the UI just looks a little better on this drop map. I love it. Kind of can really see where everybody's going to be going. See where they're going to land. But this part of the game, as we know, can be a little bit slow. No one's making any challenges early. At least I don't believe so. I could be entirely wrong, but I'd imagine game one, everyone's trying to get their footing, get their loot, and play their game of rotations and try to get something done here, Yelk, early.
Yeah, right now we're going to be hopping on to Nordic Storm, who have landed in Skyhook. Skyhook usually a pretty popular landing zone, and here we do actually have Rollers MX. They drop the very height of this POI in the map, and they've got a few teams around them, but if you drop height there, you usually have a tough time getting loot, but they're very lucky with Mercenary and Kusai both getting armored up pretty well early on, but this could be a stare down. I'm not sure if either of these teams want to be very aggressive and go for KP here in game number one this early.
Yeah, but Rollers MX are previous champions going into this for CGL. Maybe they do want to get out there. They're definitely a team that showed they could kill the opposition, even not the best situation. Gibby with a wingman and a purple shield early. This is actually pretty good loot to drop on. Already getting the Gibby dome out from the opposing squad, and they're kind of applying the pressure on him right now.
Yeah, I like it, keeping the pressure up early here, and I'm liking the wingman a lot these days just because it's a good hybrid weapon. We see Mercenary running it here. Mercenary previously playing Valkyrie for this team, now on the Gibraltar. Not sure if we're going to see them switch legends here and there throughout the game, but we've got some early aggression coming out from Adrian as Mercenary goes down. A long shot away from the 30-30 is going to set him down, but in response, it will be Adrian getting that elimination there. And that looked like that member was already down. I didn't actually catch that in the feed, but now Adrian's in some trouble. The Hemlock in the car, not a lot to work with, and very short on ammo. Kusai has to get in to assist early, but the bubble already coming out, but it won't be quite enough. It looks like Rollers barely able to clutch out that fight, but they were under a lot of duress early.
A lot of duress. Adrian showed that he could kind of fight him off there too, hold his own, showing why Valk is such a strong character, even without that big rotation ability, right? Even without the ult, just able to use her booster pack, get to a safe spot, force the aggression onto her, and then wins the double fight that she needs. Adrian doing a good job there.
And that was UTFP Esports that they took out here, and we've got our second squad wave coming in, and that looks to be Andy Jackson. I'm wondering how much KP this ANC outplay team is going to farm up. They took down the duo, the one duo we had. They're waiting on their third member, just couldn't quite get in time for our game number one, but ANC, they spot the duo. They know there's no third member in there. Easy KP for them. They're my favorite to win. I expect them to always aggress on any duo they see like that.
Yeah, so you say ANC is a good one to look out for. It's one of the teams I haven't actually gotten a chance to see play yet. Looks like they're getting to the play real early, already at least having 3 KP, which is very good start. Means if you play for a long rotation, you can get into that top 5. You're guaranteeing yourself around 7 to 8 points. So always a good start for a team just to kind of go in and wipe a few people.
And it looks like we've actually got a little bit of a spoiler on our zone. Coming up, it's going to be closing around Survey Camp toward the northern side of the map. And I know that Backburner dropped north this game. We don't actually see a lot of final zones pull this way. I feel like on World's Edge, it's a lot of southern zones, a lot of southwest zones toward that lava station. The geyser sometimes gets a few, but Neely, we really don't see a lot of them coming up north, although this is where most teams drop. It could be hectic. This might not be the slow-paced game one that we might all be expecting.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no reason for it to be. It's just kind of what I would assume would happen, would be a slow-paced game, but obviously, if you can get off to a hot start, no one's going to complain about that. Obviously, a hot start for one team means an exceptionally slow start for another team, which means next game they're going to probably have to hop in and do something similar to try to gain back some ground that they may have lost here. But either way, still early on in game one, 18 squads left, just kind of waiting for something to happen. Really just need this first zone to close to make these 18 squads a bit tight here. Any fight before the first zone closes seems like it could almost be a little bit forced and could potentially be avoided. Here's Solo Q with that comp we talked about, sticking with it. They haven't changed. I do kind of love that they stay tried and true with the Wraith and the Crypto. Not normal.
No, not normal.
Anybody.
Crypto's getting a lot of playtime up in the ALGS level. Wraith, not quite as much, but they've been running that composition now for months, so they're very in tune with it. Here we do see Onyx Ravens running what we've known as the meta, this Gibraltar Caustic Valkyrie ult. They just use that Valkyrie redeploy to get on top of this high ground. And when you and I play World's Edge, this is where we pretty much always drop.
Yeah.
Every single game, this is where we love to go in pubs. So pretty aggressive positioning from Onyx Ravens opening off their first rotation here. But like you were saying, very early in this game, 18 squads. In these higher ranked games, I would say by the third zone, if we have anything less than 15 squads, it's been action packed. So I wouldn't expect to see too many eliminations for the next few minutes.
And I love the Caustic running around with his ult out. Just ready to breach and clear if necessary. Doesn't want to have to yank it out. Just has it ready. Sees somebody's going to pop it on him and try to win that fight. This is a tough fight for ANC, though. We can't see them go out just yet. Bloodhound's going to go down. Now they're going to be fighting 2v3. And let's see if they can get themselves out of this situation.
Yeah. Pretty much the meat of the sandwich. You never want to be the meat. You always want to be the bread. And right now, ANC is definitely in a world of hurt. But Kabuber here in a bubble fight of their own. And it's got to be Narcs going down to the Peacekeeper shotgun from Mercenary. And this one right now, just Rollers and Kabuber, two titans from our April Major going back to back.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough fight right here. But Caustic did land a big PK shot before he went down, so that means that the opposing team, Rollers, is going to have to regroup just a little bit. Kabuber also going to get a chance to regroup, get their shields up, maybe survive in this zone. Corki, very low on health, full shields though, so he might be able to win a bubble fight. Gibby pushing in, going to go down. Now it's all up to Applesauce, and now they're all out of this game. ANC outplayed, going to be coming out on top, it looks like.
Coming out on top of that engagement they were just in, but I do believe it was Rolex who was in that fight with Kabuber, so I'm not actually sure why we hopped over to ANC, but they were just in a fight. We see that they are the victors, and I think they're rocking 6 KP right now as a squad, and that situation they were just in did not look favorable for them.
No, they've completely regrouped, and this is one thing I've actually, again, I'm a noob when it comes to this game. I can barely get the diamond. These guys all much better than me, but something I've just seen from some of the guys I follow from these tournaments, they've even said, maybe Zone should do a little more damage, because look at these guys. They're just surviving out here. They're not really scared. These guys know they could just craft med kits. They have syringes. They just probably kill the team, and they can just kind of loot up and stay alive. So it's kind of an interesting thought. If you put a little more pressure on that zone, you might force more engagements and force people to kind of come in contact. Because right now, they're just living out here. Look at these teams. Look how deep they are out there. They are deep right now, Yelk.
Yeah, it is dense toward the north part of the zone, but we've got some edge fighters. I wouldn't even call them edge fighters because, I mean, look at Mercenary, look at Shex. This Rollers team at ANC, they are in no man's land right now. It is going to be a march and a marathon to get back into the zone, but both of those teams are the two best teams set up right now in terms of KP. They're in a great position to actually be in that spot, not getting any sort of engagement for the next few minutes, and just try and walk their way into that final zone. Now it looks like
who
we got another little skirmish going on.
What would we call these guys?
I would love
to shots right there. That's what I'm going to call them real quick. Huge wingman shots. Now they're going to be pushing right up on that. Doesn't take a good damage trade on Belk. Actually going to get knocked by the Wraith, but the Mastiff in the bubble fight is out for Stride.
And this is actually Team MDP. That's what they like to go by. That's what they are on our leaderboard. But right now they're mixing it up with not Zerk as he down Saucy with the Peacekeeper. Now it's just up to Stride for MDP. In a pretty good spot here, holding height, has some Evo shield swaps around him, and can get these reses off. But
I love it.
The action could be coming in quickly. And now we've got another little skirmish going along the outside. We've got Team 1 here. I do believe this is actually going to be literally vibing.
Yeah, absolutely. I know the team. I know the teammates. I'm expecting a lot of these guys. They haven't done a lot yet, but that doesn't mean anything for game 1. Let me tell you. It just means you kind of played your game properly almost, in a way, by not getting a lot of KP, just kind of rotating around, because if you stay in these games long enough, you will have to kill people. There's no doubt about that. If you make it top 5, you're going to have to kill somebody to get them out of your way.
Yeah, the dance floor just gets way too small for all those dance partners, and eventually, it's a game of musical chairs. There's just less and less space to exist out there. If you want to get along in this game, you're going to have to find those kills. But this engagement here between MDP, and I think it is literally vibing down there in the glacier. Not one that I expect to be followed up on. Literally vibing might be hungry for some kills at this point, but I would be surprised if MDP stayed in this.
I'm starving, Yelk. I mean, I can only imagine what these guys are feeling.
Yeah, and we are actually getting along in this game. We're not even at the third zone yet, and we're at that 15 squad mark. So this one is
Yeah.
going a little bit faster than we kind of anticipated so far.
I mean, I'd say it's about on par. It could go a little slower. You're right. Shots being traded. There's been a lot of fighting, and it doesn't have to happen. Especially as I said, some of those teams have been living outside. Big beam coming from the R301, only going to be hitting for 50, but enough to keep them away and keep them at bay.
Yeah, that is stride here for MDP. Saucy as well, just trying to get those traps in line to keep Literally Vibing at bay. They have gotten the crack here onto the Valkyrie, but the bubble comes out for Literally Vibing. The push, though, coming through for MDP. Caustic alting right behind that bubble, making it so there's really no escape. You've got to push into that gas, and it's not going to be very easy, but it will be Smokey coming away with the first down here.
And they're just going to go right down, it seems like. Now they're going to try to recover. Slob my Rob got... Oh, I thought he had the gold bag. Sorry. Going to be recovering inside of the Caustic ultimate. Man, that was a big fight. Who is this ATF?
That is ATF.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I thought it was Literally Vibing just where the positioning was, but yeah, ATF. Slob on my Rob was maybe the MVP. I know Mercenary got it, but Slob on my Rob right there for that MVP race in our April series, so definitely a player to keep an eye on.
And what was great for him was even though that Caustic ult was so well placed, doesn't matter, you're Caustic. You can walk right through enemy gas, and that's one of the best parts about having Caustic, and that's why Caustic gets forced sometimes, because if another team has one and you have one, it kind of makes their Caustic not as good. It takes away half his kit against one of the players, so I mean, it's kind of that's another reason why some people hate Caustic. Look at this, no Gibby bubble, just going to be using a big rock here, Yelp, or a boulder, whatever you prefer.
Yeah, the redeploy here, getting Literally Vibing out of dodge, but they're getting peppered with some lead. Dig Vibes, one of the best players in this lobby, narrowly goes down here, and you don't want to lose your Valk in this redeploy because then I think the passive goes away with it. Am I wrong?
What's that? What happens?
If you lose your Valk in Valk ult, do you lose
absolutely.
the scan?
If you lose your Valk, he's down. Because, yeah, I would imagine. I've actually never... I don't think I've... Yeah, right? Come on.
I'm pretty sure you
We'll see you guys
flying,
in the comments.
but you lose the scan.
Yeah, I would imagine you have to. At first, I was thinking while they're going up, I was like, well, you're out of the Valk ult. But yeah, once you're flying, you're flying. Anyway, a lot of shit's happening here.
Yeah, a lot indeed. It's quite a cluster here. Luffy seems to be the victors of their first engagement of the game, and I like this team. Paulito was here the last time around. They're under a lot of duress here, and right now they're just down to Little Bully, their Loba, and this is a squad that is known for the Loba, but can't always get you out of engagements like this. Of course, you're looted up very well, but now you don't have much of a kit to work with. If you get pushed by a couple teammates, you really just have a ring to run away, and at that point, she doesn't have the kit she needs to stand her ground, but on to our next skirmish. Team Underrated. Back down behind this rock, and they've got a Wraith portal out of here. None of them playing with very many shields, and this could be a fast play.
Yeah, this is looking tough for him. Hits a decent amount of damage at 1 HP. Gets EMP, stunned, still standing tall. Baby Lotion. Johnson's, in fact, staying alive, but Vert gonna go down. Nobody has shields. Top Turk staying alive as well. It seems like they found a little nook. This is one thing I've always said about Apex is even if you don't have a house, make a house. And that's what Baby Lotion's doing right now. He's found one and he's staying here. And he's going to be joined by his teammate, who looks like he might not have shields because he is not healing.
Yeah, Tur seems to be a little worse for wear here. Has the purple Evo, but nothing to prop it up. And like you were saying, if you don't have a house, make a house. They've got to find a way to get their teammates' banner back. But right now, it looks like they are being pushed here. The crack comes through onto the Caustic, and North goes down first. Johnson's Baby Lotion making a clutch play here. They want this KP too.
Absolutely. He just lathers it on him right there and just takes him right out. Caustic tries to make an aggressive play, finds two under him, but Johnson just taking him out.
And interesting here, this is Solo Quebec that they're fighting, and right now they've traded one elimination for one elimination. So we've got a duel right there, a 2 versus 2 duel, but right now we're hopping back on board with my #1 seed in ANC outplayed, and right now they're looking to continue farming up this KP. They might have 8 or 9 at this point. Nearly, they are currently tearing through game 1 the way I expected.
And that's one of the things that you see from these teams. Like, look how they're playing. And it's not that everyone can play like this, but when you're rolling and you're feeling good, you're just running at people. It looks like when I play in pubs or something, and I'm feeling it, and all the players are bad. But these players are good, yo. I don't know if you know that. They're all very, very talented players, and these kids are just, look at them, just running around, just hitting beams. 2 huge shots. Going to come back, go back to his team, but they can't get pushed by them now. Almost cracked 2 right there.
Yeah, they're working the tunnels here, and what they're doing very well, just to try and farm up the KP as much as they can, is play the edge of this zone. Just get in between one team and the path they've got to go in to actually get into the action again, get into that safe zone that you need to be in, especially at this point. You don't want your health chipped away a lot more gradually than it would be in our first couple of zones. ANC outplayed right now is just hunting the edge.
Porting in. Seeing what he can do, seeing what he can find. He's going right on somebody. Goes for the kidnap. Not going to quite find it. Gonna hit a nice beam. Now he's in a spot, but hasn't even taken that much damage. He's going to have to hop to get back in there, though.
Yeah, the port out just to stay safe here for Shex. Getting out of dodge
back
there, but they definitely want this KP. They would love to just finish off this squad and get a couple more eliminations, because right now they could get knocked out. They could get third party. Things
easily
could immediately take a bad bounce for them, but as long as they've got a few KP, they don't have to rely on placement points in game number 1. Oh, and it's Backburner that's in here too.
They're running the meta comp. They only got a Gibby alive. They're going to be trying to finish him off in the corner. Gets the block, it looks like. No, they're going to get wiped out. Tried to use the knockdown shield to block that Arcstar for his buddy, his pal. And now we're into the top 10 squads here, yo. Pretty big milestone for everybody. You got to make top 10. I always say you got to make top 5 consistently, which is so hard to do. But either way, top 10, now you're kind of making your way to starting to get some points for just surviving here. And that's what's great for ANC Outplay. They've got at least 9 points right now. Just looking at OP, just he's got 9. He's got 6 kills. 3 assists. I imagine that equals out to 9. I don't know. I didn't do good in math, but something tells me.
Didn't do too good back in the math, but here we can spot that ANC is currently having a very strong opening game. And right now they've got good height on the rest of the map, good natural cover in front of them, a couple different destinations they can choose to prop up around them and claim some good real estate here. But this is going to be a very open zone once we get down to it. And now we've still got 10 squads left, and it is getting tight.
Yeah, it is getting sort of tight. That's a good way to put it. Still, game 1 here, so no one forgets. ANC off to a hot start, looking like our pub stompers for this. But as we know, we've seen some of these teams start off hot and get stopped in their tracks. They go out early. They go out 13. So they still, even though they've got all these skills, they're only 10. I mean, there is 10 squads left, and they can only place 10th best right now if they go out right now. So they need to stay alive to make this really worth it and count.
Right now, they would love to make it count, as would this team, literally vibing, as I believe they've only got 3 KP to their name right now. They've done a ton of damage in this one, but just haven't actually gotten the eliminations and the skirmishes that they've been in to this point. Yeah. But this team right now is just looking to open up with some placement points, get that buffer of 9 or 12, finishing first or second if they could. They would love that. Not choosing to take these early fights. They know that they can play with a lot of confidence in this lobby, but game number 1 might not be the place for that.
And they don't need to. As I said, if you stay in these games long enough, you're going to be forcing your way into kills. And that's exactly what they're going to try to do here. They're in a tough spot right now, but they have a Wraith board. That's one thing that I actually like about this squad right here. And I've actually liked about some of our best squads that we've ever seen play. Go way back to United, Yelk. Double rotation team. They ran Valk and Octane. 2 and a Gibby, right? 2 rotations. So now you've got this. You can rotate. You land somewhere not favorable. Guess what? You can use the old portal there. The old portal guy. Now they're just trying to find a spot to land, and it's looking a bit clustered, and they don't have a caustic to breach and clear with, so they're going to have to go right in this door, and they're not going to be allowed. They're going to have to go under. Digivive's falling low, but he's finding a way, finding that home. Scary fence down, and now the question is, are they going to get pushed outside? It looks like it. Not quite finding what they need, but Digivive's alive. He might have a chance to rat here.
And so unlucky here for Literally Vibing as they drop down. They don't get the scan on the members in this building. And it looks like Literally Vibing could be making an early exit here. But Digivibe's able to get 1 elimination there on the Shex. But it looks like it is going to be the end for Literally Vibing here as Icy come in with the third party. This is just a cluster of teams here, but it will be Icy coming out on top.
Icy loses one, though. New squad coming in. Looks like, oh, too much caustic gas. Looks like they might have got ulted there, yo. Kind of hard to tell. Not sure who they're fighting either. They only have 1 left. Looks like Icy might be going out with just a little bit of KP. Already to 5 squads here.
Already to 5,
Fast.
from 10 to 5 very quickly, and Onyx Ravens coming through and taking this positioning where it was just a battle for it, but they are not out of the woods yet here as Shadowcat goes down early in this fight, and the Wraith being awfully aggressive here. Shex coming up with a couple more kills, and Andy Jack's coming in as well. This is going to be ANC outplayed, just trying to continue and farm one of the more top teams in our lobby in Onyx Ravens, and they will finish the squad wipe.
Absolutely. ANC outplayed. Look at this KP. They're looking to win this in one game, yo. That 25 number coming up. That's what they're trying to do. They heard you talking. Rollers MX, though, look at this. At least 5 KP. Just looking at Adrian here. So that's another good one, making it top 4. This is our
they've actually got 10.
Team.
They're our second team right now. ANC is rolling right now with 13 KP, but right now Rollers MX, that is going to be their 11th elimination. Make it 12 here as they're on a tear as well.
3
they're
left.
hungry after that April Major. They definitely want to be in the money this time.
This is definitely it right here. This last fight is going to be very, very important. Whoever decides to actually engage. Circle kind of getting a little big for 3 squads. Not really. It's very, very tiny. But for 3 squads, normally you could fit 5 in here. This size of a circle. Maybe not with the real estate that we actually have. Not a lot of buildings, couple of rocks. But ANC outplayed, feeling hot right now. For sure. No ammo, though, on this flat line. Hold on. 12 bullets.
Now this is where it can get pretty tough for some teams too, is you got to actually have some reserve ammo here, as we do get a crack onto a Wraith, and ANC would love to aggress here, but you don't want that third party just lurking in the wings to come in and swoop out and take the win, when ANC right now definitely deserve it. It is currently between ANC, Onyx, and I believe Rollers MX is our third team in this last mix.
I couldn't catch the Onyx one, but yeah, the other 2 you mentioned are 100% here, so I believe that you're probably correct with the Onyx pick. And ANC outplayed might just be in a tough position, yo. They're going to get aggressed here, and they're going to take the Wraith down immediately. Quick cut down for Adrian. Huge pick for them.
And they're trying to keep it going here as Rollers pop the bubble, and they will be your champion for game number 1. Rollers coming in hungry after that April Major, and they are looking to make a name for themselves here in our spring series.
Absolutely here, yo. That's a big one. Now, I'm curious who's actually going to come out on top here. You know, talking about like who's going to actually have more points, because ANC outplayed. If they took second, for sure, not third. I couldn't quite tell.
All right, Chad, welcome back to the action. We've got Neely's beautiful face back along with me. I'm all charged for this one, and we've got game 2 on deck for you, but let's recap game 1 here, going into our team standings first, because a very interesting shakeup, and we had 2 dominant teams.
Wow.
The rest of the lobby relatively quiet, but Rollers MX and ANC outplayed, really just blew up that lobby.
Wow. I didn't know Rollers had 19 kills. That's insane. I mean, granted, I guess it probably, like, they might have stacked up a couple extra right at the end. That's insane. 31 points. 2 teams hitting that 25 you were talking about. And it looks like everyone else kind of got left out a little bit.
Yeah, and the 25, that is the mark that I was talking about in the pregame, that is the bomb you're hoping to drop in terms of what is a big game in a lobby that is this high ranked, and ANC and Rollers hitting that mark. But then we've got AVP, you know, pretty far off that. The third place team only getting 9 points, and 2 of those were placements. So we've got to see a couple of these teams start being more aggressive, because there are kills to be found, and it can't just be Rollers and ANC getting all of them. But let's take a look now at our player leaderboard to see who those studs were that were finding all of those kills.
Absolutely. Let's see. We got Will, Gibby player, Slang out with 11, a game I'd be proud of in a pub.
Yeah, Will for ANC just really stepping up for that team. I really expected Shax to be the fragger, especially just in game number 1, but the Gibby player, Will, just really coming to the table and feasting. Then we've got Kusai. That's a member of Rollers there. Mercenary as well on the Roller squad. Adrian, just 2, 3, and 4. All members of Rollers MX. Loving how they're feasting on this game. Our MVP for game number 1 definitely has to go to Will. Just insane, lacing out 2,700 damage, 11 kills, 4 assists, but not quite enough to get them the number 1 placement, as you can see at the bottom.
Yeah, but that is okay. These 2 teams are going to be fighting side by side all night. If one of them goes out early right now, it could be devastating, because at this pace, which I don't think either of them should be able to keep this pace up.
Yeah, I
So I
mean,
had someone was revving an engine right next to me. My bad.
it's okay. That happens from time to time. But yeah, it is going to be a duel between these two teams. There's a lot of other competition to keep an eye on. But as we head into World's Edge for our second time, game two about to be underway here in the CGL Spring Series. Let's see where these teams choose to drop.
Probably somewhere on World's Edge if I had to
Maybe
bargain any.
Storm Point a little later.
Maybe we'll see. Maybe a little later. Not yet though. Not yet. And we got a little time. Anything you want to just air out here? Anything that we need to focus on?
I mean, there's a couple of these teams that made very early exits in our game number one. Like ATF looked like they were winning very tough fights early on in our game, but just didn't quite have it in them to get through deep into the game. They're only sitting at 4 points right now. They had 3 KP, 1 placement point, but that squad wipe they got, not a very easy fight to win. They're definitely coming to play. A team that you, myself, and L4, the tournament organizer for this, are all saying everyone needs to keep an eye on. But there's 3 or 4 of those teams that fell a little short in game number one. So in this game number two, I would expect them to start really going after those kills.
But here's the good. Let's find the good, right? The good here is that 2 to 20, anybody's game. I mean, sorry, 3 to 20, anybody's game right now. And they could even start competing with those top 2 teams right now. Not saying that they can't. It's just all those teams are within 9 points. That is nothing in any of these games. All you got to do is have one good game. Cali getting a knock really early here. And it looks like this is going to be some early KP that we were talking about for Icy. One of those teams we saw actually go out a little later, but not with a lot of offense before they did.
Yeah, and that was the boys that they took down. Team the boys, the first team to go. It looks like they do have 1 member left, but Icy might be making it so they are very short-lived. It's going to be very tough to get those beacons back and, of course, get the revs off because, I mean, this is, everyone hates when your banners get camped and competitive, but here, you're playing for cash. It makes so much sense. Don't let anything go, and as Crashdowns goes down, the boys will just have 1 member remaining.
But honestly, they're going to camp them just because that means that they might get free KP. But I don't know. Either way, who's Team 5, y'all? Do you know who Team 5 is off the top?
This is going to be AVP coming in here.
Okay.
No, is it going to be AVP? I'm actually not sure. These names are not aligning with what I'm seeing. Okay, it is. It is definitely
Okay.
AVP. Just a couple different names that we had on our roster, but yeah, they would love to come in and chase this KP. We're seeing a lot of aggression in this one that we weren't quite seeing this early in game number one.
Still 20 squads. Means we probably got a rat, right, for the boys. And but otherwise, yeah, we're seeing some fast-paced stuff where we normally see it on this map, right near the old crack in the map.
Yeah, and while we have a little bit of a calm in the storm here, I want to talk about just how game one ended. For those that weren't aware, it was Onyx, Ravens, Rollers MX, and ANC outplayed in the final zone, contesting each other, and it was Rollers MX that came out on top. But Anelia, if you could just break into the memory bank, how did that one happen before we get into this fight between AVP and whoever their target seems to be?
How did what exactly happen? How did that fight end?
That final zone in game one.
I mean, Rollers MX on top, taking out ANC right at the last second. ANC, what we kind of thought was going to be our, leading squad, kind of looked like they had tailor-made that one for them. And little did we know that they were going to get out-killed and outplaced. ANC right here, feasting once again, just sitting on the high ground. Oh my goodness, I don't know who they're beaming on right now, but this is not looking good for them. Bloodhound going to get knocked down, but this should be easy pickings for Will, our MVP from the last game.
Yeah, Will coming through with 2 of those eliminations there on Corky and Narcs, and that will be 3 KP for ANC. But now back over to this AVP fight as they are dusted by Icy. It looked like both of those teams were chasing that remaining member of the boys, but maybe this one's not done quite yet as Icy now in some trouble. A bubble fight going down in this building, and Icy are down too.
That big PK shot right there, but he's going to have to hit a huge one to take down 3 people right now. Onyx Ravens, one of our big teams from the last tournament, staying alive here. Icy has got to be a little upset right now because they made it far last game. They had a nice little fight and get third party. And then right here, same thing. Nice little fight. They're looking at 4 kills. And then Onyx Ravens just comes in and says, no, your game's over at 17. You're taking nothing but that KP home. And that is kind of a heartbreak here. Nordic Storm in some trouble getting hit with a nade. A little speed boost for Voodoo Child right there. And they're just going to hit an armor swap and keep on moving. They want none of this. This is our Loba team right now. Was there 2? Was there another Loba team?
Yeah, Luffy Squad, that other Loba team. I do believe they're the only 2 teams in our lobby that run it very regularly. There's a couple that pull it out here and there. We're probably going to see it more on Storm Point, but Luffy Squad and Nordic, they run the Loba as a staple to their composition, and we're probably going to see it all night from both those teams.
Yeah, I think if you're running it this early, you're just kind of going, this is what they scrim, right? And then talking about, you know, moving maps, right? We're going to see a little bit of Ash probably over Wraith because she has that verticality option with her portal because there's so much more verticality on that map, right? As opposed to this map, which it's not that there isn't some verticality, but most of it comes from this tower we're looking at, buildings, not really like rolling hills. It's just kind of open fields and somewhat flat all the way through, right? So...
yeah, and a lot of those compositional picks that teams kind of mull over and just try and theory craft in their head, a lot of it is just thinking about the end game, right? Like you were saying, Ash, it gets you to high ground very easy on a map like Storm Point, where a lot of those buildings are pretty accessible. You don't slide off of them. You don't get that time where you can't hang up there for more than 15 seconds. So Ash, very popular on that map. And Loba on this one, the strategy there is you can get loot in those final zones without overextending yourselves for it. Like in game number 1, we saw 2 teams. One of them, ANC, had almost no ammo left in their clips, and it definitely kind of hindered how they could, you know, be aggressive in those final moments of the game. If you have a Loba and you're strapped with lead right down to the wire, you can aggress on anyone.
Let's get that 4K game, you know what I'm saying? Like...
exactly.
Sorry, over a little sickness. Little cough right there. I tested. No COVID here. No COVID. We're all good. But either way, little wingman here. Everyone seems to run the green. It looks like on the reticle. I guess I gotta swap mine. That's what I'm gonna learn here. I gotta swap my reticle.
You don't run green?
Nah,
you run white?
Just red, default, whatever. Started
on.
Yeah, no, I see for like Overwatch and all that. I always switched it to green.
Yeah, that's why I'm shocked you don't.
Yeah, I just never really thought about it. Red for red dot. You know what I mean? That's really as far as my brain went. That one.
Really diving deep.
Yeah, not a lot of green on these maps. I guess you could say. But either way, Onyx Ravens just holding this building down. One of our favorites. A lot of floors. No, it's like a 4-bedroom apartment. You know?
Yeah, and now might actually be a pretty good time as it's pretty calm here with 17 squads. If we could just take a look at the map and maybe see just where the remaining squads are, because there are a lot of them out there. We're only getting into zone number 2. We might actually get a peek at what zone number 3 looks like. And of course, you do want to see where the teams that we're enjoying following to this point, like Rollers, like ANC, where they're going to be coming in from. But, you know, maybe we get that look, maybe we don't, as we do actually zone out here to our full map. And I love it. It's pulling just north of Fragment. Fragment West, going to be playable for some time, could lead to some action.
Look at Will. Is he all alone right now? No, his team. Okay, his team's in the red. My bad. Right? That's what I'm looking at. Bottom.
Maybe.
Bottom.
I'm actually having trouble tracking down the rest of ANC. I'm not sure where they're at right now.
Very important. I'm curious what they're up to. But either way, as we've seen before, a couple of teams just kind of living out here. And no, that's not his squad, Yelk. This could be bad news right now for them. That could be really bad news for ANC. And it could really open up the doors for Rollers MX. But either way, we kind of know it's going to be ending on Epicenter here, where our last fight. And Onyx Ravens have moved very far. They must have Valk ulted because they're in a completely different area code, different zip code, everything. And they're looking to take a fight right now with Team 18. Everybody's favorite.
Team 18, I do believe that's going to be Maiden List. They were in our April Major as well. And Vlasic, their Caustic player, popped off quite a bit in that game, but they weren't quite in the running as we got later in the game. I do believe they got 1 win out of our 6 matches in April, but kind of fell short and eliminated early in the last couple of games in that set. Fell out of the money, but here, looking to come back, improve a little bit. That's what a lot of these teams are doing. A lot of them returning from April, just trying to improve, maybe get themselves into that money. Of course, like we were talking about, flowers for mom don't buy themselves tomorrow. So
They definitely don't. And hey, some people might have two moms. Like maybe you got a grandma. You know what I mean? Like there's money's gonna have to get doled out, and somebody's gonna need to receive it. Whether it's in cash format or flowers, everyone's favorite chocolates. That's something that you could get there. But also, a lot of 30-30s on this squad right here. And this is a gun that's actually kind of made its way out of the meme zone and into a real life weapon. I don't think it's everyone's favorite. I don't think it's the most. What do you want to say? It's not the best gun. It has its issues, but has definitely, with the G7 not being in the game, great poke gun, great thing you can use. Has its issues, as I said, a little bit of slow bullet time, but still, you can definitely hit some big poke shots with that. It's definitely not a charge rifle either, but gets the job done.
yeah, and of course, with the longbow being something you have to craft nowadays, it is few and far between for those marksman rifle, those mid-range weapons. We see a lot of wingman players, especially in console. You get a little bit of help with that aim assist, as everyone knows that can, pull your sight to that shot that you were looking to hit, maybe buy you an extra headshot or so. But yeah, the 30-30 coming out of nowhere. We saw it a lot in our April major. That was the first major we saw it in. Pretty prevalent ever. And it is just one of those hard weapons to use, but if you're a master with it, you are lethal. What is going on here? Are they going to pounce?
No, I think they're going to just try to get ahead of them, get a little high ground here. Try not to go down. We're about to figure out if you lose the scan when Valk goes down. Not going to just today. Got to get this Phoenix off. Cancels it. This is a long cooldown. If they get pushed, it could be troublesome, but they have the high ground. I doubt there's going to be an early push onto them that they can't fend off.
Yeah, and this is UTFT Esports here, just holding down the train tracks right now, but getting pinched a little bit, getting both cracks onto the Gibraltar and onto the Caustic here. It looks like UTFT Esports in a pretty good position to maybe finish off these defensive heroes on the other side of the tracks, but right now just having a difficult time finding the angles. We are seeing AJ come out deep into the zone just to try and find that lane to get in with those shots.
Going to get pressured off, and he's going to have to move back towards his squad, but maybe opening up a little bit of space for Jack to move up in the wide open. Going to take some big beams, hits him onto the flesh. Not going to quite take him down yet. He's in the zone, so any flesh damage you do could get real dangerous if you don't heal it off. Big knock there onto Scroozer. I like that name. Little dollar sign in there. Unfortunately, you're down, buddy, and so is Saucy. He's going right down with a Jack, finishing him right off. Now they're just shooting at the last guy. Maybe not going to be able to get him, but they should be able to get this loot, even though they're getting beamed at.
Yeah, right now they are squaring off against MDP, and not a very easy fight for them to win. Neither is the third party poking and prodding from that right side flank. It's a very dangerous spot here for UTFT Esports to be in, and they are not close to getting in that zone. I do believe that Jack is still waiting on that Valkyrie redeploy. Maybe he has about 20 seconds to go.
Yeah, maybe more. He did just use it to get into this fight. They're not even close to a Wraith portal, from what I can tell. Our sponsor is right in the way for me. Not that that's a problem. I love the sponsor, but I can't tell what his port's at. I think it's 36? I think it's that. Payday Gaming, though. Subscribe.
Subscribe, find yourself a tournament, go to paydaygaming.com if you want to get in the mix for Apex Esports. It's a great place to get started, and here we do actually have the redeploy coming online in the nick of time, as right now UTFT Esports, they're looking worse for wear. They've got to make sure they land somewhere safe because they are not close to stabilized.
Connor was low in that circle. Yeah, it's always a scary thing when you're in the zone, in a Valkyrie, can't heal, just hanging on. I've knocked a few of my teammates in this guy. AJ goes down. That is not good for them. Lewis actually staying alive here. Xbots just hanging on outside here. Doesn't seem like they have anything going on, but they're looking around. There's snow. Look at these traps. There's 3 traps right there, Yelk. I don't know if that's called for.
I don't know. Looks pretty meta to me. You're not getting through it. That's for sure.
Actually, it's a wall.
This is another Loba team here. Didn't actually pick up that we had 3 in it, but Xbots coming in. We did actually see ANC outplayed. They got a couple of KP up on the board. Maybe in a little bit here we'll have. I just saw it up in the kill feed. I just saw that Adrian picked one up, so I know that they probably got a squad wipe because that's just the way they roll.
Wait, Will just went out. Our MVP from the last map just died. You said kill feed. I looked at it. Will died.
And it looks like Shex did as well. Man, worse for wear.
ANC is eliminated from this game. 17th place. That is a bit tough, especially after not claiming first. But now, Rollers MX. I'm kind of curious what they're up to because Could be big. Voodoo Child getting a couple too in the feed. Now I'm just staring at the feed. I can't believe I've been gaming for this long and I forgot to look at the kill feed, yo. Solo Quebec, something out, I think is what it was. Rollers MX
Voodoo
here.
Child, a member of that team, and right now Rollers MX haven't actually found the KP in this one so far. I know they've got some damage to their name, and it looks like they're very well suited with armor, but right now, there might be a team under them. I'm pretty sure there is, and they've got grenades just tailor-made for this situation. This could be their opening, jumping in here. Oh, Mercenary! Feeling it right now, throws in that Arc Star, bounces in the frag as well, but no longer standing there is this opposition, and now Rollers MX, with all the high ground, Kusai picks up the first down.
They're going to finish that off real quick. Make it 2, make it 3. That is at least 3 KP on the board for Rollers MX, and now they're taking a huge lead above the second place team of ANC. This is where this gap is going to get big, yo. And Rollers MX definitely has something to prove, because I know we've said this tournament was definitely a lot higher rated, a lot better teams overall from our previous tournament. And they're just saying, yeah, we won that tournament. Hello?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely one of the teams that is really looking solid. And like you were saying, the gap is just going to be made bigger and bigger as ANC is already out of this one. Rollers MX could really make their way up the leaderboard. They're already in first place, but just how far can they separate themselves from the pack? Another engagement now as they find 2 downs in this one, and it looks like just hunting for that third and final kill, and this team is so lethal, I wouldn't expect it to go on for very long.
Absolutely. We got the kill leader right here, Mimo Kusai. Only 500 damage, but he's got all 4 kills for his squad right now. That means they got 4 kills. Oh my goodness. Waiting for this Gibby bubble to go down. He's got the Caustic Ult ready to go. Seeing if he can find anything. ATF, another one of our strong teams, seeing if they can get themselves some KP. And it's looking likely that's the first knock on to Valkyrie.
Yeah, Vert goes down, as does Johnson's Baby Lotion, and that will be the wipe there. ATF
Lotion
on the board with some KP, and I love it. We got a little bit of a multi-view there, but not quite sure what the action was going on in our top right portion of the screen. But ATF, like you were saying, one of our stronger teams, currently getting peppered now, and it is looking like they might actually be in a sandwich here. I think there's 2 teams on both sides.
ATF, yeah, it doesn't look like they got a lot of breathing room here, Burke. Not a lot of breathing room, but they're getting some bad. Smokey's down. Some of my Rob's still alive. Doesn't really have time to get any resources on. He's just going to have to run right into him and hit some beams. Not going to hit what he wants. Going to get gunned down by the massive Scary Pens. This is LVG that they're running into, which is really good news for them because they need to get on the board just as much as anybody.
Yeah, and with Smokey down, you don't want to lose your Gibraltar, especially not your Caustic as well on World's Edge, but right now we could actually be seeing ATF making the exit here. Rollers also under some pressure. They've got a lot of cover around them.
This is what they were showing us, yo.
It looks dangerous. Yeah, man, I mean, honestly, just keep saying it. Have fun with it.
Yeah, I'm trying. You told me once a long time ago, you're like, you know, try to use try to use the name, use the elk, you know, instead of just talking and then act like it's a conversation. So then Yelk's been burned into my memory since.
Yeah. Doesn't help that I went through an identity crisis about a year ago, I'm sure.
Yeah. I should be able to call you by your real name. That would make sense.
We live a mile from each other. We've been friends since 6th grade, but eventually, you know.
Been a minute. We'll get there with the name thing. That whole silly nonsense. Dirty Skirty. Didn't notice that name.
No, I like it. Still alive for ATF, too.
Hanging on.
Don't know how they weren't hunted.
I think it's because there's a couple teams hanging out. Why is he peeking this? Again, what am I judging him for? But this team's terrifying. Unless this bubble goes away, he can just get a knock.
They must see him, though, right? Yeah.
Nah. He's got Valkalt, too. He might just drop and go. He can always just drop and go. Or run into the middle.
Teammates not going to be getting Smokey, though. Probably not going to be getting Rob either.
No.
If you're going to lose one, you might as well just commit to playing for rat points and lose Rob as well.
There's no need to send the signal to everybody. And I love that I see my camera's frozen right now. So if this is what everyone gets to see, it's going to be great. Mouths open. It's a good look.
I can't wait to see it during the intermission.
It might be different because it was different last time, but it's just funny.
Rollers. This is
Rollers.
some duress that they are under. They've got height on this final zone as we're starting to come toward the end of game number 2, but there are still 7 squads left. It is about to get very hectic as Rollers, they are just trying to batter away the opposition as Cryptic goes down there to Adrian, and right now, Rollers, they've got a member here in Kusai with 5 kills, and they are not the leader on their team, so this is, again, a big game for them. Just keeping an eye on how much they're going to separate themselves on this podium.
Yeah, it's important. Every game is important. Consistency important, and this is consistency at the highest level right now. Getting another squad wipe is going to be Rollers MX. I don't know what that knocks them up to. That's another knock. Wait, this is a whole nother squad pushing them, and they think whoever's pushing them thinks they're getting a third party out, but they're not even hurt. Rollers MX is more than full HP. I mean, you can't be, but you know what I mean. Red armor,
yeah, and
gold,
they are taking on all challengers too, especially when their
my.
armor is looking as good as it was after that fight. They know
5
that
kills, 8 assists.
teams probably just heard that they got into a skirmish there, and they were just begging a third party to challenge them, because I'm sure you're rolling up in a third party situation thinking that you're going to be fighting some wounded soldiers, but Rollers MX just had so many Evo shields to their name, and they were ready for the fight.
Absolutely ready. No doubter. Absolute to But hey, back burner, one of our teams that I really wanted to do great here, still has an opportunity to. 3 squads left. They're in our top 3, so this is very good. So if they can win this, they're going to get some KP that they absolutely need. Kenji's going to go down, but they're going to start the res. Look at all these barrels. There's no chance you're getting through there, so they're actually going to get a chance to revive, which is huge for them.
It is huge for them, as it looks like we've also got Onyx Ravens, Backburner, and Rollers MX. Those are our final
Onyx
3 teams.
is back in it.
I know. Onyx is looking good in this game, too. They've definitely got some KP to their name. I think they've got at least 1 member with just 5 kills themselves. So Onyx climbing back up in the ranks here, but they would love to close out game number 2 with a win.
Absolutely. Backburner might just be in the spot. It's kind of tough to tell. If they have to get pushed, they're just in the spot. They're on their roof right now. They have a Gibby ult. Get out of here. Get off my roof. They're going to peek it now. Huge PK shot. He's going to start off that Valkyrie. Get some down. Get some blood. Easy clap. Yeah.
Wow.
Hurt.
Backburner looking strong here. They had Godspot and just challenging the roof there with that Gibby ult 2 from Kenji, but now looking very injured. HP awfully low, and they're not able to stabilize, as it will be Rollers MX now taking to the skies. Adrian on top of the roof, and they've got the Godspot. Rollers trying to get the 2nd win of tonight, and they will be your champion for game number 2. This team is tearing it up.
This team is absolutely tearing it up. I don't know anything else you can really say to that. Dude, they're the only team that runs Horizon for the last 2 tournaments. I haven't seen another Horizon get played. And again, we talked about endgame. When the circle's small and you can't miss, that ult is great for Horizon. Just drops it on that roof and just finishes off all those kills on the floor. And that's me.
And here we got Neely again, frozen in time, but he's still with us, which is good. And let's just break down how game 2 ended there, because it was very nice play that we saw from Rollers MX coming in 3rd, which is where you want to be. But like you said, having that Horizon. But honestly, I want to talk about how Backburner was in such a good spot inside that building, made an aggressive play with the Gibraltar ult, and it just slipped away.
Yeah, it did slip away. I think they made a good move to go for that. I mean, they hit some huge damage right when they came out, right? So it's hard to say that they made the wrong play. They had a Gibby ult on them that was going to force them into a position they didn't want to be. And once you do that, you just have to commit as a squad. They did commit. They got shot by the other team. It happens. I mean, there's really not much else you can do. There was a Horizon ult that was still ready to go online too after that Gibby ult goes away. I just think it was a tough spot for him. You can't just stay in the room because it's probably going to push you out of it too, right? So, I don't know.
No, you're right. It was definitely a tough spot to be in. Rollers MX played it perfect too. The way they came in 3rd, they let the fight happen. They let the ultimates fly, and then they came in very late with a Horizon ult that, like you were saying, in Final Zone, pretty tough to miss those. And the way this team plays, they're so hungry throughout the entire lobby, and then they make sure that their timing is good on that final engagement. That's how there are back-to-back champions for our 2 opening games. I think we're going to cut to a short break, maybe, just to get Neely's cam back in line. Or actually, I don't think we need to. Do we need to? Could we just throw up? All right. We'll cut to a short break. We'll be back. We can? All right, production coming in. Let me know that this one is winnable despite Neely's mouth being open to my right here. We've actually got some standings coming online now that I'm just getting, of course. Rollers, our number one team from that last game, and they separate themselves so much from the rest of the pack. Chat, you don't have this quite on your board yet, but Rollers MX, a little spoiler for you. They're sitting at 63 points in the lead by 34. ANC still in second, not too banged up after that early exit in game number 2, but the rest of the pack inch their way closer. Neely, Onyx Ravens, what did they do differently?
They got some kill points. It looks like that's what it looks like to me. I mean, they're right in there now because they're right in there with ANC. They survived. ANC didn't survive. They're at 26. They're right in there. Rollers MX though, doubling ANC's points, over double. I mean, this is getting out of hand, Bert.
Yeah, it is starting to, and that entire squad is just playing some lights out Apex Legends. If we want to take a look now just at the player leaderboard, we can see what I'm talking about as Mimo Kusai jumping out in front, has 18 kills now to their name, and of course, dropped a ton of damage in that last one. Adrian as well, above the double-digit mark for kills, and Mercenary, that last member, who was such a stud in April, actually third in kills for this Rollers MX team, but still 9, nothing to scoff at.
No, definitely not. And Will just showing that, yeah, that first game he put down was such a banger that he's still number 2. He got 2 kills last game, still beating the whole lobby in kills right now. Obviously, kills aren't really all that matter, of course. Everyone's trying to shoot the same targets. There's lots of communication. Sometimes you're the guy that comes up with it. Usually the best players do, but Will still at 13, still scary. Looking to maybe get to 20 here in the next game. Let's see. Not 20 in one game. You know what I mean. Pop 7.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Math.
This Rollers MX team, they kind of came out of nowhere. They weren't on my podium. They weren't on yours. We all knew to keep an eye on them. They should have been, obviously, because look at what they're doing to this lobby. But none of us, not even L4, our organizer, had him in his top 3 that I made him submit. But he also said, you got to keep an eye on Rollers because they were looking so good in scrims. But it is hard to imagine they would look this good this early here in our spring series.
And there's one thing that you got to keep in mind, too, is game day is always a different thing, right? Scrims are scrims. The teams that do well in scrims will do well on game day, but not always, and they won't always dominate. We've seen some teams do okay in scrims, do pretty well in scrims, and then come out and dominate. Now, we haven't had the luxury to actually watch as many scrims as the past 2 tournaments, but from what we've seen in the past when we get to watch a lot of scrims leading up into these games, it's a thing to see. But either way, let's get right to the MVP of the last game. You got any guesses, y'all? No time.
I mean, I had no doubt it had to be Kusai because they just took over as the kill leader in the lobby. 9 kills, 4 assists, not an insane amount of damage, but always there to make sure those eliminations were finished off. And what is the most important, something that Will didn't capture when he was MVP, is that number 1 placement, leading the team in Rollers MX to victory.
Absolutely. But no bash on Will there. Will absolutely crushing it as well. ANC is definitely just going to have to come back this game and just show the entire lobby that they just had a rough one, because that's what Apex is. There is a lot of RNG that can go on with these, so a lot can happen.
Yeah, and there's some teams right now that are just right outside the fight, like ATF, who we were talking up, and then literally vibing this team that has some of the best players in the lobby as well. But sometimes game 1 and 2, you fall a little flat, but still literally vibing is in the top 5. They could make a big push. We saw just in our last game that ANC, they got knocked out early. That could happen to Rollers at any time. Things might just not go their way one of these early team fights, and they are taking a lot of early team fights. That's going to be what it takes for these teams to actually get back in if they want that lion's share of the $1,000.
Who's this lion you keep talking about?
He's the guy who gets the biggest piece of meat out of the kill.
I get it. I'm just curious if he had a name. Could be Rollers MX.
Just the one who gets the biggest piece of steak. Right now, it's Rollers by a mile. Yeah. Oof.
Woo.
I just kind of want to go over couple more teams that are in the fight before we get into game number 3 on World's Edge. Like I said, ATF literally vibing right there. They both have 12 points. They're tied for 4th place. And then we have 2 teams tied with 10 points, and that is going to be Backburner and Icy. Icy, a team that wasn't on anyone's radar, and right now they're hanging around. They've taken some good fights, knocked out some good teams, and they've got 7 KP to their name, but sitting at just 3 placement points. This is the one team right now that actually has more KP than they do placement points in the top 5.
Yeah, and that's a team, they really just need to have a fight and not get third party. They need to get out of it because that their last 2 big fights, they've had a nice clean wipe and then just are instantly getting shot. Like instantly getting shot and getting walked on. And there's not a lot you can really do to avoid that sometimes. I mean, yeah, take less damage while you're killing a squad. Get lucky, don't get there. I mean, it's just, it happens. I don't know if they're a team that runs caustic or not. I think they do.
I'm pretty sure they do.
I
know they have a Gib.
Yeah, so there's not a lot more you can really do to like prevent a third party. I know caustic can be a pretty good tool to help kill a team and then kind of set a perimeter. Maybe you get a building, whatever, right? So either way, you just kind of got to hope for them a little bit just because they clearly can win the fights. They need like 5 seconds, so
yeah.
We'll see
Or,
what
you know what, a lot of these teams could need to is just that map switch. After this game 3, we're headed over to Storm Point, and that is when things shake up. That is when you're probably not playing the composition you just were on World's Edge because it is a vastly different map. There's PVM. It's way more open. It's not quite so building heavy like we see on World's Edge. So, things could really shake up. A lot of teams do like that Valk, Gibby, Caustic meta, but when we get to World's Edge, like you were saying, Ash is going to come out Bangalore, a pretty popular pick there. But here we've got game number 3 for the CGL Spring Series. It's about to be underway.
Absolutely. And here you go.
This is my favorite.
Again, it's tough to start these games sometimes because it's just, here we are. We're dropping. We're going to pick our spots. And we're going to see how fast this one goes because is what it is. Sometimes they go quick, sometimes they don't. Last game I'd say was on the quick side as opposed to the first game, but we'll see if anyone challenges early. Our production team has been all over it so far. I've had absolutely 0 complaints, so I feel like we're getting to see basically everything we can.
Yeah, we're getting to see a lot, and we've actually got pretty good amount of viewers in Twitch chat, and we definitely want to hear from you guys. Who are one of these teams that might be, falling a little short here in our first couple games that aren't quite in those top 3 spots that you're looking to come alive? Who are you rooting for out there to take game number 3? Have a big game right now. It is going to be a very early engagement along the train tracks. This looks to be, I'm actually not quite sure who this is. ANC outplayed, but who is squared off against here? That is what I'm wondering. Oh, as Zerk goes down to Will, Hakai as well, already getting involved in the kills. This ANC team, they never take any time off.
They really don't. They just get guns. Now, granted, right here, R9, CAR, those are all very good weapons to drop on, especially when you're a lot better than me because you can use an R9 like an R301. So you don't need anything crazy long range. You can just kind of push as a squad of 3 and absolutely get onto it.
Yeah, and that's what they did right there. Already getting 3 KP there, knocking out a squad. And, I mean, this is where they need to have a comeback game because they just made that early exit in game number 2. It really hurt them on the leaderboard as Rollers won the entire game, really pulled away by over 30 points. And we were talking just before game 1, that 25 bomb is something you're hoping for in a game to get you back in it. That is what ANC Outplayed need very badly, and they also need Rollers to just leave this lobby so fast. On with Backburner here in the Geyser, as it looks like they're looking to finish off a couple eliminations here as Crash Downs is downed and about to be eliminated. No hope for you. I'm sorry about that, Crash Downs, but Backburner right now, it looks like they've already used some resources to get that elimination, but at worst, it's going to be a 3 versus 2. They can probably play in Geyser with a lot of confidence. Did I lose my Neely?
Oh, my bad. I had to mute it for a sec because I was coughing.
No worries.
Pretty
Sometimes you
aggressively.
cough.
I was pretty sick this last week. Luckily, today is the best I've felt, and my throat hasn't bothered me at all. Yesterday was pretty good, but I was just leading up to this event. I was like, man, please just be camera problems. Shex goes down. And Jax is kind of low here. They're in another tough spot. ANC cannot go out right now. Shex being down is already detrimental enough. If they get pushed and taken out, this is they're in third place territory. This is going to be very difficult for them. They cannot go out 19.
Oh, and there's fire from the high ground too. ANC is in such a difficult spot here under so much duress from both sides, just leaving Shex to die. That's what they had to do. You cannot afford to just cost your entire game number 3 here for Shex's life.
Yeah, and were they running a Horizon before? Because I know it's just a different look. Now they don't have a Valve to get out, and they're just getting pushed. They're getting taken out. I don't know who's getting them, but they're getting got. Jack gets a knock. So we already know who's taking them out. And it's going to be, wait, this is a different team. Different Jack.
This is going to be UTFT. This is the team that was peppering them from the high ground. So there is another team here within the Siphon that is looking like they definitely know what's up with UTFT. But right now, UTFT, they come away with those kills onto ANC, and ANC outplayed. They're one of our Pro League teams in this tournament. They're currently sitting at number 2 in the losers bracket of EMEA for the last chance qualifiers for the Pro League. And right now, I mean, they had a stellar game number 1, but game 2 and 3 just going away from them.
Yeah, that's devastating. Roller, and we know Rollers just saw that, and they are just like, all right, we'll just survive and just step on the gas.
I don't know if Rollers will just survive though. When you build that 30-point lead, you might actually not choose to play comfortably and just choose to, really get after it in a game, because you've got a game where you can get knocked early.
You can just throw.
Yeah, you might as well just go crazy for these pushes.
Yeah. I mean, we say that, but you still watch how they fight, and they don't really. They play aggressive, but they'll take an angle, and they'll get shot, like maybe lose a cell and a half, and he'll wraith out, right? So that is a very important thing that I think some people, especially like when you watch content creators and people, and you go, oh man, he just gets to look at him and he downs him. Yeah, it's probably because his aim's a little better. Yes, all these guys' aim is amazing, right? Don't get me wrong. But it's also the respect that they show to each and every player that they play against. Even in pubs, even when players aren't as good as them, they're like, oh, I'm in a spot I could die. I'm just going to reset and try again. That's always something that these guys are very, very strong at.
Yeah, stabilizing after every single engagement, not just pushing when you're not completely up to your full amount of resources, definitely key for these high-ranked players, because in a lobby like this, you've got to put respect onto everyone's name. UTFT, they just knocked out a Pro League team, and they're not really on our radar right now. None of us had them on our podium for sure. So for them to just knock out ANC outplayed, that's big for them. That means that this lobby, it's winnable for anyone. Anyone can take out the top teams. Rollers might run into someone who's not even in our top 10. That might be what does them in game number 3, game number 4, somewhere along these lines. You really just never know with this competition.
And LVG here, they got a little KP on their hands. So again, a good start, 15 squads. One of those teams that easily could just kind of get in. I think once we start looking at it, once you're on the outside of the top 3, you're always trying to just be like, all right, do we have that bid to get in the third? And this is a team that absolutely has that bid to get in the third and even second right now, because second is out. I forget who our third place team was last round. I think you have that pulled up if you could remind me.
I do believe it was Onyx Ravens, because they had quite a big game there.
Yeah,
and it was. And they only had 13 points. They had 13 KP, a total of 26 points. Literally vibing. They are sitting at 12 points. They need 14 to close that gap. But right now, Gaboober Luber in a bubble fight here, and it will be a couple members going down, and Corky might be the final to fall.
Well, gets one. He's got a devotion. Things could get dangerous out here. He's trying to heal up. He's got the gold, too. This is actually huge for Corky. It's a one-on-one. Everybody's down except for Corky and whoever he is fighting. I
would love to be able to spec Corky right here.
Corky,
the pings are just going crazy on his head. Johnson's Baby Lotion goes down. Corky just hiding behind these knockdown shields. And this is where you want to be. If you're playing close to him, you are definitely at an advantage.
He uses his dome. There's all kinds of protection. Can he win this fight? He's got the Mastiff and the bubble. Tight fight right now. Not a lot of damage. Looks like it's actually getting traded. He's going to wraith out, come back in, has to shoot, doesn't get a chance to res or heal.
No, still very tough for Corky, but that gold armor definitely coming in clutch in a fight
Swaps it.
outside the zone. Switches over to that purple Evo shield, and that's basically just like a fast bat. And it looks like got that elimination there onto Vert as well. But was that the whole squad?
Wait, did he
I
get
miss
him?
something there?
Well, it was a 1v1. Did he die to zone because he got him so low? I didn't even see. It was kind of hard. We weren't on him, so it was kind of hard to actually tell. I was trying to look at the feed, too. I mean, he rezzed with a lot of confidence, so we're just going to assume they're dead.
Yeah, and they're just looting, no problem in this bubble. Must have died to zone. Pretty confusing engagement right there. I think Corky's gold armor definitely just won them the fight. A lot of times,
Yeah.
you're going to be trading out gold armor, but, you know, in a situation where everyone is rocking purples at best, and you're out of zone, gold armor for Corky just brought them through that.
Yeah, especially when you're out of zone, but especially when you just need to get a sell-off. 3 seconds is, you know, it takes a while, but you can just kind of pop it. Maybe you get another one, or you have to go for a whole bat. Because putting on one cell really just doesn't do a lot. When you can put on one cell and do a whole 50 HP, that's massive. So that was definitely huge for Corky to have that gold shield. And generally, the gold shield doesn't go on the Gibby, from my understanding of how teams play. Usually you kind of put that on your Wraith, your Octane. We don't see Eddie Octane. Octane is just dead, man. He is just not a real character anymore. But you usually put it on kind of a flanker character, probably your Valk, right? Anyone that can kind of take an angle and gets in dangerous situations so that if they get cracked, they can't get pushed super easily. Because if they do, they can pop a cell. If the guy comes around, they have a pretty even fight, I should say, not easy.
Yeah, that Gibraltar arm shield definitely very good for taking easy poke damage to farm up Evos. But
exactly.
I was actually talking with Dig Vibes earlier, one of the players for Literally Vibing in this one, about changes they would like to see to competitive. And they would actually like a gun taken out that we haven't seen tonight, and that's a Kraber. What are your thoughts just about that gun in the competitive environment?
I think most of the pro scene is on the same page with that. Just no Kraber, because you can do all this game planning, all this stuff, right? I think in general, right, maybe it just shouldn't be in ranked at all. I guess it should just be in pubs. But, you know, my thing is, like, for, like, a Plat and Diamond game, like, if you complain about the Kraber, it's like, I wouldn't. But, like, in Pred and Masters, I get it, right? Some of those players are just so good, it's just unfair. You can use it like a shotgun. You know, it has its potential. And it just kind of changes the whole game, changes the format. And you can just kind of, if one team has it, it's so powerful. And you could just be like, oh, I just got headshot. Okay, cool. And that's not really what Apex is necessarily built around, right? It's built around these abilities that can keep you alive and large health pools. But either way, Dome's out, Gibby Bubble on top of them. It's one of our Horizon teams, so I can only take a guess as there could be 2 teams pushing UTF right now. And I don't know if you got any guesses, Yell.
Yeah, I don't know. UTF right now seem to be bombarded in this one, but a good Wraith portal to get them a very fast rotation away from that spot in the map where they were under so much pressure. And if I had to guess, they're probably squaring off right now against one of the more elite teams in this one, because the aggression is not going anywhere. AJ going down, Lewis as well, falling to Mercenary. Mercenary right now. This has got to be Rollers just coming out with 2 quick kills, trying to find a third, but it looks like Mercenary will go down to Jack, but Mealy, it looks like it's not quite enough. Rollers can never be counted out.
That's what I was trying to lead you to, because it's one of the only teams that runs Horizon, but there is one other team, and I forget their name already, who, oh no, wait, it was ANC who picked Horizon this game, and they went out, right? So I think, again, this is the only team that is running Horizon in the lobby right now. Rollers, MX, Luffy Squad, sticking with the Loba. No hate there. Loba is just a solid character.
Yeah, and I would like to see them have a big game. Oh, LVG, this is Literally Vibing right here, and they would love to get more involved in this game as ASMR gets that early down on the Corky.
They just can't get, they're going to get this knock, they're going to get this kill. Now they're going to have to go for a res. It's going to be big. I don't think they're going to get pushed, because they did enough damage to that team that had to run away up that zip. Going for the drop down, not going to quite get it. ASMR going to get to completely re-heal and reset on this fight. And it looks like something else is going on up there. It looks like a whole other team, and then somebody in the middle. There's a lot of, the Horizon just ran inside. Looks like they're going to get away from that just barely. Probably going to pop into a team and get annihilated shortly. Maybe not. He's angry.
Still going down here. It's just a battle in
You
the
see that
stairwell. I
little-
love that play from Dig.
Trying to toss him into him.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're not going to be pushing down that
That's
staircase.
funny. No, because what he tried to do was toss them like basically into his team. That would have been so funny. Because he couldn't go backwards. He couldn't really go left because of that little lip on the door. So he had to go forward. That was pretty funny. He was, he was able to just run back up the stairs and he was fine. But that would have been great.
Horizon, the legend known for the big brain. Dig vibes right there, flashing their own. I like it. You can get very creative with that ability, probably more creative than any ability in Apex because
You can block doors a bit with it, Like, if you just put it at a door, you can't get in it. You just get sent up, so... Even though we got some big boys in here, they can't just walk through it because of the weight. They go up just the same.
Maidenless, one of the teams in this lobby that's been relatively quiet to this point, but we know how they've got some punching power, but just trying to shoot through this Gibraltar bubble, and it looks like they're having a tough time fighting these long-range eliminations, but they're not quite giving up here.
Yeah, so LVG also a team running Horizon as well. So that was the other team. Sorry. gotta correct myself, figure out where we're at. A lot of characters.
Yeah, and LVG trying to pick up that number that was down there on the run, and it looks like they will
shot.
get that res off outside of Fragment.
Oh man, he's just... Sometimes they just find these angles they can sit in where just barely no one can see them and they just can't move. I mean, it's terrifying. I'm watching in the top right. Looks like Maidenless is going to be taking the Valkyrie out of here. Good choice on their part. Just kinda,
and they're hungry too. They're trying to cut off this KP, but there are 3 squads here and they did not know it. They have to get inside quick.
Yeah, they're full. They're getting away. Nope. Goodbye.
Literally vibing though. They're trying to come out on top, pushing right into this building, and these trucks too. You don't want to be in the windows. It is going crazy here. Dig Vibes throws in that Horizon ult, and everyone gets sucked in. Damage critical, but Dig Vibes goes down.
Oh man, Scary Fence gonna go down. ASMR is the last one up, but I believe a lot of damage has gone out. He is not completely out. He's gonna be getting finished off by a completely different spawn from Classic there, it looks like. Lost ASMR.
Rollers is in this. That was Kusai who got that kill. Rollers is entering this action, literally vibing.
God.
They've only got ASMR left, and right now it looks like some top teams are contesting this area.
ASMR does need... He might be able to stay alive because Rollers is coming in. That could be really big for him. Maybe gonna get this, not gonna get this res. Just kidding. Never mind. Maybe. Probably not. Either way, ASMR just needs to stay alive because they did get some KP in that. If they can knock into the top 5, they can start knocking on that door of being top 5. So, oh boy, he's getting hunted. Doesn't look like that third party's going to come through and distract anybody for him,
And there's
sadly.
nowhere to run either. Eliminated there, and that will be literally vibing game number 3 coming to an end. Maidenless, though, this team that landed in such a dangerous zone, they survived for a bit, but not forever as they are taken out by MDP.
MDP. It's in the game. Stride gonna get this bat off. I don't really know who's around. Rollers, were they definitely around? Did they just kind of like sneak a finish? Okay, that's probably who's shooting them right over
Rollers
there.
100% around. They're actually this team to the right of Stride.
It
will be Cali, though, coming in with the kill there. The 30-30 getting activated here, and MDP is on the run.
Not really. They've been stopped. They're here, and they're gonna have to win this fight. The bubble's gone, and now they've got nothing. They got 3 squads looking at them on one rock. Nowhere to hide. I talked about how they find these angles to hide. Here's Rollers. Here they are. Tons of KP. 8 KP at the very least. Full HP just about. And they're looking to take this team out right now.
Yeah, and this is Kusai we're on board with here, the lobby leader in terms of kills, and they are getting active again. Like we were saying, ANC, our second place team behind Rollers, already has exited this game, and we saw how far Rollers were able to spread themselves away from the pack in game number 2, and right now in game number 3 with just 5 squads left, they're definitely doing the exact same kind of work.
Now, ANC might have a tough time catching up to Rollers just as much as the rest of this lobby, right? But ANC is still not out of this. They had such a massive first game. There's still easy podium potential. We know what they can kind of play with. And I think the problem with ANC so far that they've run into is they've had nice fights. They've gotten some KP going. And then they just get caught in a tough spot, because maybe they didn't need to take the fight. I don't really know. Like, I ain't a pro player. No one's confused there.
Yeah, or maybe just not sensing a squad that was nearby to third party, because that is how they've gone out. It's not that they're just, losing a squad versus squad duel like in this game here where they were over at the Lava Siphon. They were in an engagement that they were definitely going to win. They had good positioning, and then out of nowhere, bullets from a high ground behind them started to, start to pepper their
Yeah.
legends, and from
Worst
there,
case
there's not
scenario,
much you can do but
basically.
run.
Peppering from high ground is not good. When high ground
No.
can see you, it's tough.
Talk about high ground rollers taking height
Yeah,
here. This
I
is
love
God
this
spot
spot.
going into final zone.
It is a good spot, but something that you can't forget is that you can also get poked at from a bunch of different angles. So
The whole thing is in zone though, and where we can
yeah,
actually see Kusai right now, you can rotate to the back side of this and be very safe, because I feel like if you're on the low ground just below this crane type, is it a crane? I think it's
it's
a
a
crane.
crane. It's a
Yeah.
crane. Yeah,
If
see,
you're
that's what it's
below
holding.
this crane, there's really no natural cover besides the crane, so I wouldn't imagine
Crane.
anyone sneaks up on the safe side of this.
Not to be confused. Oh, he's got an ability. It's okay. And not to be confused with the foldable paper crane. It's a something to move things type crane.
Wow.
Big heavy things.
Did you go to school for construction?
That's
Because
it.
that was a very educated
Yeah.
little
I
analysis of the
used to
crane
be
you
an
gave us there.
engineer back in schooling school.
Did you notice that Mercenary has a Spitfire in hand?
I did notice that. Actually, did you notice that he had a Spitfire in hand and then they found another care package with another Spitfire? He shot a bunch of the ammo and then picked up a new one?
That's
Because
terrifying. There
that's
was
what he
actually
did.
one game. It was the second game my girlfriend and I ever won. Our entire squad of 3 got Spitfires, and after it, she was brand new to Apex. She was like, "I really like that gun," and I was like, "Yeah,
Uh-huh.
we're never gonna have 3 people with it again. So
Yeah.
just how about you savor that?"
Yeah, you have fun with that because you're no chance.
Yeah, every
Oh,
single
man.
game too. She's like, "If you see a Spitfire, will you ping it for me?" I'm like, "Sure."
Sure, icy. They got some KP once again. They're in a tough spot. One knocked, one trying to get the bat off. They can't get in this door now. Logan's gonna be peeking out with the Valk. They're gonna be trying.
Oh,
to
this
get
is
this
Luffy
finish.
Squad. Getting
Yeah.
involved. I like it. Rolling through, playing as a very tight squad here. I love the teamwork there to get that KP, but they need a
Yeah.
little bit more here. I believe that's just one.
Talk about a dance floor. They were shuffling right there. Oh, look at rollers. Good lord. They just have this high ground because this is the thing that is the thing that this character does for you, Horizon. She just can get everybody to the high ground, right? Val can't do that unless she ults.
Yeah, Val can do it once every 2 minutes.
Uh-oh.
Oh, going in. The
Uh-oh.
aggression, busting down the doors and chasing away the Wraith here.
Uh-oh.
Sticky.
Solo
not
queue.
quite enough there. I'm sorry, Static's not quite enough to get away from Adrian. Down to 3 now.
Down to 3. Rollers MX making that top 3 once again. Not that they've done anything better than worse than top 1, but top 3 once again. They've got the Spitfire, and it's got a pretty decent amount of ammo. It's got 2 reloads in it. That's plenty for a Spitfire, especially with this much time left. We got the split cam. Who are we looking at? What
Also,
team do we
Rollers.
got?
I know it's Rollers in this one. Luffy Squad is another team in this. I'm not sure who our third team is, though.
Not sure. We could find out when Rollers MX gets taken out in the final circle. And we have a new victor here.
I would love to see. There is nothing I would love to see more than a new Victor, but just Rollers owning the lobby as they've done all night long. I love these positionings they're getting to. This is just God spot. So many multiple angles.
They're just all over the place. Bunch of spiders. Just looking around from higher ground. This is the positioning you need to. Just things you didn't even know you could really stand on. They're standing on it. And when the circle closes, as long as they're not getting shot off, he's going to take them right out of the door. Now he's going to hang on to it. Now he's sending it. Going to try to get him out of the bubble, actually. Looks like he got one. Doesn't matter. Going to go in on the bottom right here. Kind of just got him right off. Now it's 2 squads left.
Oh, we're not hopping down either. Down to the final 2, and Rollers again just trying to own this entire tournament. It is a 3 versus 1, I believe, here, and they are not jumping down from God spot, Neely.
No, there might be 2, but they're just jumping in. Jumping in for the win. Takes him out. Another guy up on high ground. Looks like they swapped a little with him. Probably used the Horizon ult that was tossed down by Rollers. Goes in for it. Gets cut down. Rollers MX 3-0. Nothing better for them right now. Lordy.
No, and the other contestants there in that final zone were not some of our podium teams, so you know that the pack is just getting so far behind this Rollers team. There's still money to be played for, but right now it looks like first place might be all Rollers. We haven't seen a major goal like this nearly since United in our very first CGL major. Just ran away with it. I think they won by like 80 points.
Yeah, it was dominant.
Yeah.
Needless to say, it was dominant. Oh, I
Ah,
gave I
there you
gave him
are.
a picture to maybe use. He said maybe, and it looks like maybe not. So
Maybe not.
that's gonna be
That's
what we're
okay.
that's okay. That's what we're gonna be rolling with. Is what it is. I wish I had number one pointing up. Could be a little pog face, maybe not quite. Just looks dumb. But I mean, what's there to talk about, really, other than Rollers MX on top? A lot of good things happening around. Icy, just again, having a tough time getting away with what they need to. But right now, I think the big story we're going to have to cover here for the remaining part of this is third place. And, what can we do, right? Like, what can we do? What can
Yeah.
teams do to get this third place?
That's definitely the story we have to keep an eye on. And in our April major, that is something that actually came to fruition. Jabuba, we
Yeah.
were one of the teams in this lobby. They actually were sitting in fifth or sixth place after
Yeah.
game number 4. And then after game number 5, they were right there in fourth place. And a
Yeah.
couple of our top teams got knocked early in game 6, and they stole it and found themselves in the money. So that is
Absolutely
definitely on the
stole it.
table. It looks like after Rollers, the competition is
In a
very
tie,
neck and neck between
too.
about 8 to 10 teams. So this one is close. There's still a lot of teams fighting for the prize pool, but we're going to be taking a very short break, and then we're going to be heading over to Storm Point, and we're going to have our leaderboard from game number 3. So stick around.
All right.
All right, guys, welcome back to it. Alt Charge, joined by my frozen pal Neely, who we now have replaced with a beautiful headshot, and a little bit of duct tape over that. I like it. And Neely, finally, we're switching up maps. We're going to Storm Point. I just keep on doing this unconsciously, like I'm looking at a co-caster, but it's just a picture of you, and I'm just
Yeah.
having so much fun with this meme.
I like it. I mean, I looks like I'm getting real excited. I was feeling good that day when I took that picture. But
Yeah,
anyway,
I mean, you must have been. So we've actually, just to catch you up, chat, before we hop into Storm Point, we've got our lobby leaderboard here. Of course, it's going to be Rollers MX on top by a lot. They're sitting at 91 points, 55 total KP, and that is incredible. I mean, 55 KP. They are 23 KP above ANC Outplayed's total points, sitting in second.
yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, that's all you got to say about this incredible performance.
No,
We've
it's
done like
insane.
5 of these majors now, and Rollers MX are running away with this like we haven't seen a team do in over a year.
And debatably, like one of the top tournaments that we've casted out of all of them. I feel like we always kind of say this is the best one so far, but they do just keep getting better, right? So yeah, but either
So
way,
we're going to be heading over to the player leaderboard next. Onyx Ravens was our third place team, actually getting onto the podium and staying there after game number 2. But here are our players, the studs, the legends on the sticks tonight. And it is Kusai again, remaining in number 1 for the kill leader, has 18 to their name.
I thought he had 18 last
is this
time.
one? I do believe this one is actually the one from game number 2. So let's see if I've got the actual one. Kusai is 24 now. I've got the updated one. I'm looking at it right now.
Gotcha.
Kusai is sitting at 24. Adrian has 17. Mercenary has 14. So now at this point, everyone on Rollers is your top 3 kill leaders. That is pretty insane. This is the updated one for you, chat, and we can just see the damage they're putting up as a squad.
And I was gonna say, it was pretty impressive because I was gonna say, wow, that's a sturdy 13 he's putting out there still after 3 games. But anyway, moving right along to our MVP, probably Kusai once again.
Ooh, it's Mercenary from the last one. Look at those 9 assists. Wow, the Gibraltar coming up, not with the eliminations really, but just insane assist game. And that is what this Rollers team does, is they play as a team. Everyone is getting involved in all those eliminations, but we are already in here on to Storm Point. And it is Maidenless that we're going to be on board with first. But Neely, let's just talk about how this map differs so much from World's Edge. You were talking about how we're going to see legends like this. Crystal Adam on the Ash. Why is Ash so popular here, if you could just say again?
Yeah, I mean, I've mentioned it a little bit, but it's good to key into right now. There's so many hills. Like, even if you just look around where they're at right now, the verticality just starts to happen so quickly all over this map. And with a lot of verticality, it actually gives you a lot of opportunity to use this ult. It's kind of hard to use without a lot of verticality to actually get away. And with it disappearing so quickly behind you, it kind of closes the path. You can get to high ground very fast. And that's why you might see an Ash over a Wraith, right? Because we were seeing a decent amount of Wraith, but Wraith lacks the ability to get to high ground. She can't do anything to get to high ground. But either way, you know who still gets high ground really well? Burke?
Oh, is that the bird that every team seems to
No,
run?
no, no, no. You're right. You're right. But also
Horizon?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We were seeing that showcased with three of our top teams just last game, how that one ability can just jet you up to pretty much anywhere you need to be. And it looks like underrated already in our first engagement
Yeah.
of this game. And 3 cracks going down. This actually might be ANC. I'm not sure.
Oh my goodness, this would be devastating. Zerk goes down.
It is
Johnson's
not
baby
ANC.
lotion. No, it is not. Baby lotion. Love this guy. There's just a couple names that have just ring through. If this guy keeps coming through, he'll be a favorite for me. Nice beam coming out, trying to hit that with the rockets there. Boone. Can't get this finished. Look, now it's a 2v2 right now. Yo, Burke, yo.
Yeah, I do believe so. Outlawed Void was that Team 15 that went down to underrated, but now underrated,
Yeah.
not quite out of the woods yet. Definitely still in an engagement here, and I think they know that this one is a 2v2, and anytime you're down to that 2v2, you don't really want to run away. You definitely want to take the fight, or else you're running away from your banner most likely, and then you're just down and out.
And I think they got that res. I don't know if they got the finish because we had that split screen for a second and it looked like they had their guy under control. The Horizon peeking up over, trying to hit these shots. It's very easy to get on this roof. This is a nice roof to fight on if you can get onto it. Nice little crack from Vert right there. Baby Lotion's falling a bit low though.
Yeah, definitely a bit low. Vert now trying to get away, but it looks like they can only run so far. Chase relentless here, and now it is just up to Johnson's. And maybe clutch up this fight, but you're gonna need something miraculous. The Havoc beam hits. Now onto the Peacekeeper. Hits one shot, but splashes for 9. 49 the second, but Johnson goes down. Almost a miraculous play, but just not quite.
He hit 2. The Havoc just blows people up as it does. And then they got to use his bubble there for a little res too, which was nice. I mean, no one's around, but either way, why not? Shex. Oh, this is ANC right here.
Yeah.
This is ANC.
So close to being knocked out early once again. That would have been a killer for them, but instead they are able to get that squad wipe, which is going to be very crucial. They need to work their way back up.
If they got clutched on like that would have been devastating. Mood changer in the group. Like that just would have been tough. I don't think it was going to happen. Will had a lot of health left, right? So, but also notice Will's off the Gibby now. I love this UI change. We don't need to get the scan, Burke. Like, we just get that circle. Sorry, I keep jumping around here, but I love how it is
good. I love how in tournaments we do actually get to see where this zone is going to close, and it is going to favor, a team dropping hot. It's going to be right on that antenna. Of course, it won't be exactly there. It's going to pull away to one of those sides, but a very interesting one is we don't see a lot of teams even close to that second zone that we're getting spoiled right now. So there's going to be a lot of these teams traveling through chokes. But right now we've got ATF in a bubble fight.
Yeah, a tight bubble fight here. There's no knocks yet, but everybody's low right now. So it seems ATF trying to stay alive. The Slob my Rob gets 1.
Gets 1. Trying to find more. They've got this high ground. They don't have to be super aggressive in this situation. Right now, they're just trying to make sure they get those shields back off and stabilize before they break down these doors and go for the final couple of kills.
Walks in, throws the Arc Star, trying to make a little space with that, going to blow the doors right off. Now it's a massive fight. Finds nothing with that first shot. Gets a lot of arm shield on the second one. Dirty Skirty going to be skirting around, but Saw my Robin Smoke is going to be smoking them up for the rest.
And it looks like Voodoo Child came in with an elimination onto Rob, and this seems to be a third party here. I do believe this is UTFT just hunting this KP, but they might not be so lucky here as they've already lost 1, and it looks like AJ trying to come away with 1 kill, but pays for it with his life as Saucy downs him with the R99.
Saucy, I forget. Who is Saucy a part of?
That would be MDP, who have been quiet, but in the early game, they've been an aggressive team.
Yep. Which is important. Shakes things up, could always shake things up for anybody. Lewis just trying to run away. Lewis and Connor got the 2 first names. Could be a last name for one of them, not sure. And it's not Lewis and Clark. They got Lewis and Jack.
And AJ. Can't leave out AJ.
Don't.
I feel awfully close to this team on a personal level. Lewis, Jack, AJ, how's your night going?
Yeah, hi. Hope it's all right.
Hi, my name's Berkeley. Nice to be acquainted.
Well, howdy. White Shield's getting broken right there. Jack, this is a crazy fight. This is just so extended. Hard to kind of keep track of even. Because I know one team definitely has to have gone out at this point. Oh, Lewis just can't get any of the peaks he wanted with the wingman right there, but showing why Wraith is still not a bad character. AJ falls low, Connor low, Jack is low. This is looking really tough for UTF. They're going to have to get these bats off and pray.
Yeah, this is actually the third time in this one fight that both teams have taken a little breather to stabilize. It's been one of the longest Apex fights between two teams that I've seen maybe in my entire casting career. This is the third reset, which I can't stress enough, that never happens.
I wonder if a different team might have just pushed UTF right there. No shame on whoever is attacking them right now, but I mean, they were just so low. I don't know how low the other team could have been, but I feel like they couldn't have been as low. But maybe it's only two of them because Jackson.
No, that is Saucy going down. MDP just kind of lackadaisical. And a little low effort on this building. They could have chased those kills, but instead they choose to run away. And I think it was a 3v2, so maybe it's the smart play.
That's why. Now that is absolutely why. I didn't. It was, again, as we said, it was very hard to keep track of. So I couldn't tell.
UTF was hurting so bad.
So bad. So it was like, you know, you're thinking like, oh, would another team have maybe just tried to go for it? But when you're two guys, I mean, they probably also got cracked. I mean, and then you're just rolling the dice on jumping into three people. So, and I think they were going to go for a quick res on top maybe with that reset. It's kind of what it looked like they tried to do, but didn't quite get to pull it off. So anyway, we eventually packed that one all in and figured out what happened. But it took a second. It took a moment. Got some crafting in our top right-hand corner, everybody's favorite. Doing a little crypto action, a little hacking. Just kidding.
Sola Quebec here in the antenna where the zone, again, if you forgot, is bound to be pulling. So they're going to be playing very safe. Now they actually get the intel to see. I love it. We get another little look into the future here as Sola Quebec scan the zone for us and give us a little bit of a gift as casters. This is one of the teams, Neely, that's been in every single CGL major, but they've rarely found the podium. I think they've had a podium finish just once, and it was third place, but consistent, usually in the top 10 in lobbies, often in the top 5, but the kills not always favoring them.
And I think what this shows, now again, I don't it's hard to remember like every player, right, from every single game. So and a lot of these teams have all swapped up, switched, made things happen with different roster styles. But you got to imagine if you've been competing this long, you got a good mental game, right? Like you got to, because they haven't won anything, right? So but they keep coming back, they keep screaming, they keep playing. I don't know. You just, from our perspective, you're just hoping they can kind of put it together one of these days. Because when they do, boy howdy, we're going to be excited. We're going to go absolutely nuts, top to bottom on that cast when Solo Quebec is bringing it home for the boys.
Yeah, this is a team that I would really like to see find their stride in one of our majors because they've worked so hard for it. But now we've got literally vibing up in a catwalk duel. Only goes down to Dig Vibes, trying to find more here, and he does on the Paulito. This is Luffy squad that they're engaged in, and right now literally vibing, heavily favored on this catwalk.
Yeah, that was I mean, you said a duel on high ground. That was absolutely knocking their doors off right there. LBG just taking this KP for free and not holding back. That's a Bangalore. That's an interesting pick. Always an interesting pick. Always seems to find its way into some pro matches, though.
And this right here is going to be ANCL played as they're looking to make their way up. They've got a lot of kills. In fact, Will, again, the kill leader in the lobby, sitting at just 4, but already hunting for more. Comes in there with a beam and some good shots hit for some critical damage. But as they round this rock, can they get a clean wipe?
They're doing a lot of damage. They get the Gibby down. That's number 1. That's down 2, and that's just a fast wipe right there. Now, all the shields up for them. OP gonna go for the quick. I don't know why I call him OP for the first time. Will gonna get that shield swap. Nobody can third party this team right now, and if they do, it's gonna be an even fight.
And I love how they take fights too. They always seem to swing one legend out wide to open up an angle, and then they just hit you with the right there Fred as Andy Jax and Shex in that case just come in right down Main Street where you expect them to, but Will just opens everything up there for them.
They just didn't get teased by another team, basically. They just kind of were able to do their thing. And I think in an isolated scenario, they are still one of the best teams. Oh my goodness. We got a Watson and Rollers MX. Not sure if they're going to know how to deal with it. They haven't cracked a code on one yet because there hasn't been any. But now they're gonna have to be going against a Watson, which I always feel like is easier to deal with than with a Caustic. You see where the lines are. The only big thing that she has is that you can't nade her because of her ultimate. She's got the big trophy
and she
system.
was one of the legends that was very stable in the meta, but for such a short period of time before teams started to drift away from her. Those fences do add a lot. They make your fortress pretty tough to crack, especially when you're owning a building like they are. But, you know, just kind of falling out of place as time goes on.
I've always felt like her big thing is that Caustic's in the game.
Exactly.
As long as Caustic's around, she just doesn't quite have that